Hey, Zanko here, and today you're going to be joining me in a full Claude Code course. I'll be giving you a full walkthrough from how to set up Claude Code to building a real sellable web app with Stripe payments, with user authentication, and with a user database. And so this isn't just going to be a lecture, but a live demo building something real time. Now, what you'll learn today is how to set up and use Claude Code, how to launch a working app today, and how to make it sellable. So I'm going to teach you how to use Claude Code by building a real sellable app real time. I'll show you how to get it live and how to set up Stripe so you can start taking payments. In other words, I'll show you how to turn your idea into a sellable app even if you've never coded before. So without further ado, let's set up Claude Code. Okay, now it's super easy to install and set up Claude Code. There's just a couple of quick free things that we need. Now, Claude Code lives in our terminal. It's a command line tool. Now, if you don't know what that is, if you just open up your terminal, basically Claude Code lives here. Okay. Now, if this looks a little bit intimidating, don't worry because it's super easy and it's super simple. But it makes sense because it's a coding tool, right? And so it lives in our terminal, and there's a couple of quick things that we need. So we need Node.js. If you just click this link here, it will take you right there, and it's free to install. And then basically all we have to do is once we install Node.js is run this command right here. To install Claude Code, run the following command, and you just copy that command and you just run it in your terminal. Now, I already have Claude Code installed, so I'm not going to run it again. But for me, you can use basically, I'm on a MacBook, so you can use basically just a stock terminal, but I prefer to use a tool called application called Visual Studio Code. It's just a little bit easier and better organized for me, and you have a lot more features and functions and tools. And so I prefer this application, and this is free to download as well. So we're going to be downloading Node.js, Visual Studio Code, and then there's one more thing that is not a must, but for me, it's a game changer, especially with prompting AI tools. It is so much faster just to speak it, right? Because they say we can speak 4 times faster than we can type on average. And so this is just a simple dictation tool called Aqua Voice. And if I just double click my function key here, it brings up Aqua Voice and it will dictate what I'm saying right into Claude Code. Now, this might not seem like a big deal right now, but trust me, once you get into the weeds and you're building applications and you have very specific long prompts that you're trying to give the AI, it is a game changer and allows you to work so much faster. So this is an amazing tool, and I don't think it's very much. There's a free trial, and it's only like $9 to $10 a month. So once you have those things installed, let's go right into our terminal, and I'll show you how to set up and run Claude Code. Okay, here we are in Visual Studio Code where we'll be building our web application, and we are just about ready to get started on our project. Now, how this works is basically by folders. So we're going to click Open, and I'm going to create a new folder and just put Demo Project 1. Click Create, and then Open. So now, and then I'll just put yes, I trust the author. So now we're working in this folder, Demo Project 1. Now I'll click on Terminal on the top menu bar, and then New Terminal. And then close that. So you can see that we're working in Demo Project 1. So after you installed Claude, which you install with that command, I am not going to do that because I already have it installed. I am just going to type in Claude to fire up Claude. And sometimes it takes a little bit. Do you trust the files in this folder? We'll just put yes. So this is the folder for our new project that we just created. Yes, proceed. Okay, now here we are. This is all of it. This is Claude Code. And this is the interface where we'll actually be coding and building things. All you literally do is just type into this text box here, and Claude will build whatever you tell it to build. And this is a really amazing time because if you don't know how to code, like me, I don't know how to code, you can build full sellable web applications with AI and that are on par with traditional applications. And so it's a really amazing time that we're living in. So basically showing you how this works. This is just like any other familiar AI LLM that you've used, such as ChatGPT, except this chat lives inside of the terminal, right? And so there's a few things. If you press /command, it'll bring up this list of commands. We're not going to go into that just yet. We are actually going to show you, I'm going to show you a couple different modes here. So if you hold Shift and press Tab, you can see it says in purple under the chat box, auto accept edits on. So basically what this will do is if I tell Claude to build something right now, it's just going to auto accept the edits. And it's just going to assume that I want to move forward and I want to continue. Now, we don't always want that. If you hold shift and press tab again, if you hold shift and press tab again, you can see now it says plan mode on. And so in auto accept edits, Claude will just start coding and Claude will just start building things. With plan mode, and we type in the same prompt, Claude will actually think through and plan out how it's going to accomplish the task that we've asked it to. And you don't always need it, but it's really amazing for more complex tasks, or when I'm building out a full feature, or when I want Claude to think through a tough problem. Claude will then give us a full plan of what it plans to do, and we can either make edits to its plan or change its plan entirely, or we can approve its plan, and then Claude will then just go start coding. Now, just a quick word on prompting before we begin. I'm not the world's best prompter, but I've learned a lot about how to create good prompts. Now, it's very important to basically communicate as you would with a colleague, and they are a developer, an engineer, and you're trying to communicate your vision and what you have inside your head to them, and they have no context. They're basically starting from a blank slate. They don't know what you're talking about. They don't see your vision, and your job is to communicate in detail as specifically as you can and giving as much context as you can to that person to make your dream a reality. And that's exactly how these LLMs work. The more context we can give them, the more specific we can be, the better. And you don't really want to be polite and say please and thank you or can you, because I've heard this triggers Claude to go into helper mode, and we don't want that. So be as specific as possible, give as much context as possible, and pretend like you're talking to somebody who's a complete blank slate and doesn't even know what's in your head. You're going to get a lot better results, and you're going to be able to see your visions come to fruition if you're able to, the better you are at giving context. So I'm going to give Claude a prompt, and it's going to start building our application. So what I've chosen for this is just a viral tweet writer. So just a low ticket SaaS that somebody would be willing to pay 10, 20 bucks a month for. And we're going to have Claude build that. So let's start with plan mode, and I'm going to press function twice to bring up Aqua Voice. Build me a web application that is a viral tweet writer. The whole purpose and focus of this application is for any user to be able to come and put in their idea, their niche, the topics that they talk about, and this application should be able to produce unique, value-driven tweets within their niche that are optimized for virality, growing the user's profile, shareability, and attracting other users within their niche to follow them. All in all, this is basically a tool to build a engaged, specific audience with Twitter. Now, there should be different methods of understanding what the user wants. If they want to, they can simply put in a link to their Twitter profile, and this application should be able to scrape their Twitter profile, see what content they already produce, what content they already retweet and write, and it should be able to understand their niche, the topics they care about, what their audience cares about, and it should be able to take that and produce viral content within their niche. If they don't already have a lot of content or existing Twitter profile, they should be able to put in their niche, their topics they care about, and be able to basically tell you what niche they want tweets in. You should also, the web application should also learn and study from viral tweets and the formats that make a viral tweet. So it should be able to summarize, it should be able to take any content creator who has ideas and a niche, and it should be able to take their content and what they put into this web application and turn it into tweets primed for virality, tweets, shares, and an engaged audience. Press function again to end that. And as you can see, Aqua Voice basically pasted what I just said into Visual Studio Code, and that's why Aqua Voice is a game changer, because it would take me so much longer to type that out. Now, as you can see, that wasn't the best prompt in the world, but you'd be surprised also how much grace these LLMs have. They're good at understanding you, and they're good at understanding what you want. Now, again, at the same time, if I can give more context and be more specific, even better. So let's go ahead and press enter, and you can see my entire prompt there. It's a few paragraphs. So now Claude is just going to start doing research, and it's just going to start planning out, okay, how can we get this done? How can we build this application that the user is asking for? So it says, I'll help you build a viral tweet writer web application. Let me first analyze the current directory structure and then create a comprehensive plan for this project. The directory is empty, so I'll need to create an entire application from scratch. Let me create a comprehensive plan for building this viral tweet writer web application. Okay, so here we go. Here is our plan that Claude came up with. It says, ready to code. Here's Claude's plan. Viral tweet writer web application plan. Tech stack. Front end, Next.js with React, TypeScript, blah, blah, blah. Database, AI integration, Open AI GPT-4 for tweet generation. So I'll need to be giving my OpenAI API key, which I'll show you how to do as well. Now, user input methods. Twitter profile analysis. Scrape existing Twitter profiles to understand niche content style audience. Manual input. So it understands what we want, and it understands the application that we want to build. There's a couple of edits I want to make to this plan. So I'm just going to press, I'm going to go down and say no, keep planning. And I'm going to bring up Aqua Voice. For the database, let's use Firebase. Also, for the UI of this web application, it should be modern, beautiful, a dark theme, just something that is modern, tech, rounded edges, soft, very tech startup vibe. Okay, so here is its new plan. Okay, tech stack. Now we have, I don't think we had this in our first plan. Yeah, so now we have design system. And I can keep making edits to this plan for as long as I want. Let's say, actually, no, instead of Firebase, I want to use Supabase instead. Okay, so now here's Claude's latest plan. And as you can see, it switched the database to Supabase. So, again, guys, I am not a developer. I am not a coder. And as I'm sure a lot of you aren't too, if you're using these no-code tools. But the amazing thing is we can speak in plain English to Claude Code, and it will tell us its exact plan in plain English as well. So now I can go down to the bottom if I'm happy with this plan, and I can say yes and auto-accept edits. And Claude is just going to get to work and start building what I asked for. Okay, so now we can see that Claude has actually created a to-do list. Everything from set up Supabase configuration to create dashboard with glass morphism design. So Claude's actually working now. And right here, it's just asking me if I want to approve this. So I can either put yes, or I can put yes and don't ask me again for this particular command. And so I'm just going to put this and let Claude do its thing. Okay, now something else that is a complete necessity is a GitHub account. So you want to go to github.com and create a free account. And you can basically think of GitHub as where you keep all of your saved progress. And so all of the progress and all of the code that we're developing on this application, we're going to be able to back up to GitHub to keep it safely on the cloud. Let's say anything happens to your computer locally. Well, you don't have to worry too much about your project because it'll be backed up to GitHub. Now, this is great also if you want to share a project publicly, if you want to, let's say, send it to a friend or just share it for free with people, then GitHub is also the place to do that. Now, you can also keep code here privately if obviously you don't want to share it with anybody, but GitHub is also a fantastic place to keep track of all of your versions. So GitHub will automatically keep track of every new change that you make and every big update that you make. So let's say that you have Claude do something and you're not totally happy with it and maybe it messed some things up. Well, GitHub also allows you to revert back to a previous version because it saves all of your changes and your updates. And so go ahead and create a free GitHub account. We're going to go up here to create repository. Repository is basically where we keep the progress of our project. Okay, they call it a repository. I don't know why, but we're going to create a repository. And I'll just call this repository viral Twitter app for our description. This doesn't matter too much, but we can just put in web application for viral tweets. Now, this is super important, okay? If you don't want somebody to take all of your code and your data, you want to make sure you set this to private. If it's public, then anyone can see it, basically. And anyone has access to your code. So you really want to make sure that you make this private, and then you're just going to go ahead and click Create Repository. Now, basically, this is a blank slate for Claude to then push all of our code to, okay? So in a little bit, once we have progress with our Twitter application, our viral tweet application, then I will tell Claude Code to back up our project to this GitHub repo and will automatically do it. Okay, so this is the exciting part. So Claude Code basically said they're done with the rough draft of our application. So let's go ahead and check out the preview. Okay, now sometimes this happens. Claude will generate a preview on localhost, and all you have to do is simply, I usually honestly screenshot this, and I'll bring it back into Claude, and I'll paste that screenshot in there, and I'll just say localhost is not generating the preview. Okay, now there's an issue generating the preview to localhost for some reason. I don't know why, but it won't open. So instead, Claude created a HTML preview instead. So let's go ahead and open that up. Okay, not bad, not bad. Viral tweet writer. Generate viral tweets that build your audience. So this is basically just off of one prompt. And I didn't specify exactly the icons and all this. So Claude is getting pretty good at knowing what to do and knowing not only how to build out functionality, but to design as well. So obviously this is just a dummy website, but we can click this button. Let's see. Start writing viral tweets. What does this do? View examples. Okay, so this button doesn't do anything just yet, but this brought up this little box here, your niche. I'll put in, I don't know, AI no code. And then list the main topics you want to tweet about, separated by commas. Claude Code. Let's just see what happens. Just discovered this game-changing AI no-code hack that saved me 2 hours every day. What's your biggest time waster? Hot take. The best AI no-code professionals aren't the ones with perfect plans. They're the ones who adapt fastest when everything goes wrong. So not bad. I mean, it's actually working. It's functional, which is super cool. So like, guys, this is one prompt. You saw me do this. It could be better. I mean, this is a pretty simple website, but it even has this viral score here. 90, this arbitrary viral score that I just kind of made up, 83%, 87%. And so it's like, it's cool because Claude is not only doing what we tell it to, but Claude is taking some creative liberties of its own as well. And obviously if we don't want that, we can specify, but we even have this little copy button here. And yeah, it works. So let's see if I put in a different topic. Your niche, let's say dog training, and then topics and keywords you want to tweet about. Training high maintenance active dogs. Generate viral tweets. Okay, so okay. So I think it just basically used the same exact template and just switched out the topic. Just discovered this game-changing dog training hack that saved me 2 hours every day. Hot take, the best dog training professionals aren't the ones with... Yeah, so basically, because this is just a dummies website, it's not actually connected to anything just yet. So it's not connected to ChatGPT, which is what it's going to be using to write the tweets. and it's not connected to any database, authentication, it's not being hosted. So this is just basically an HTML preview. So let's go ahead right now and build some function into this application. Okay, so now would actually be a good time to back up our project to GitHub and save all of our progress to that repository that we created. So there's just a couple of quick commands that we're going to run in order to install the GitHub client right in terminal, so Claude Code can just automatically push all of our progress to GitHub without us having to manually do anything. So first I'm going to install something called Homebrew in terminal. And Homebrew is basically going to allow this whole process to sync together. So I'm just going to ask Claude, give me the command to install Homebrew in terminal. Okay, and Claude is going to give me this link here. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. And I am not going to paste this in Claude Code, but I'm actually just going to go to the regular terminal on my computer and paste this here. Press enter. Now you'll have to enter your password. You won't see yourself typing in the terminal, by the way. And then just press enter. And it says this script will install, and then you go ahead and press enter. But I already have it installed, so I'm not going to do this. So I'm just going to escape. Okay, so once Homebrew is installed, now we need to install the GitHub client on our computer. So we're just going to type in brew install gh. Okay. Now I already have it installed, so it already says it's installed and up to date. So once you have it installed, okay, we have the GitHub client installed. Now we're just going to type, we need to log in to give it access. GH auth login. Where do you use GitHub? GitHub.com. And then we'll just do HTTPS. Authenticate with your GitHub credentials. Put Y for yes. And then we'll just do login with a web browser, and this will automatically open my web browser. Okay. So we're going to copy this one-time code, authentication code, and I'm just going to press enter, and it's going to open up GitHub in my browser. Okay, now we'll just press continue, enter the code, continue, and then authorize GitHub. Now, going back to terminal, it says logged in as Zancol10, so that's my correct account. And then we'll go back to Visual Studio Code. And I'm just going to make sure that this is all hooked up, so I'm just going to type in gh auth status. Yes, we'll run that command. And it says logged into GitHub Zancol10. Okay, you're logged into GitHub as Zancol10. So now what I'm going to do is go back to GitHub. I'm going to get this repo link that we created. I'll copy this, go back to Visual Studio Code, and I will say save project to GH repo. Okay. And Claude Code should automatically back up our project to our GitHub repository. Okay, now it says project successfully saved to our GitHub repo viral Twitter app. So I'm going to go back to this page, our GitHub repo, and I'm going to refresh. And you can see we have our project folders in here. So now our project is successfully backed up to GitHub. So every time now we just want to save our progress, we just want to tell Claude to save our progress to GitHub. Now there's an actual lingo for this. I believe there's a command called commit or gh commit, but honestly, I'll just tell Claude to save our progress, and Claude usually knows what I'm talking about. Now, it's good to save your progress regularly, especially after you've made some big changes and big updates. So now that we saved all of our progress to GitHub, let's continue working on the application, set up authentication, database, and separate the landing page from the actual web application so we can have a paywall in the middle. So I'm actually going to just, let's see, I'm just going to screenshot this. Just give Claude Code a little bit more feedback. And I'm going to say, I'm going to paste that in there. I'm going to paste that in there. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to say, right now, the landing page is combined with the web application itself. Let's separate these two pages and create a separate landing page with good copywriting and high converting sales copy. Let's add authentication and a way for users to check out. I want to create pricing. I want to create some little pricing elements. One, laying out all of the features of a $10 a month plan, and a second, laying out all of the feature of a $20 a month plan. Users should be able to then sign up for one of these plans, and they should be able to authenticate with their Google account. And then the actual web application itself should be on the inside once the user has paid and they have the paid status within Supabase. Let's paste that. Okay, now I'm actually going to turn on plan mode and have Claude plan this out first. Okay, here is Claude's plan. Implementation plan, move current landing page content to separate marketing focused page, redesign with high converting sales copy, add pricing tiers, Stripe integration. Yeah, so this looks pretty good to me. So let's go ahead and approve this plan and let Claude get to work. Okay, so now while we're waiting for Claude to do its thing, let's go ahead and create a Supabase account. So this is our database where we're going to be storing all of our user data, and they have a free account to start. And so once you have an account, we're going to go to the dashboard. I'm going to go into my organization, and I'm just going to create a new project. Project name, for some reason LastPass is filling in my credentials here. So I'm just going to put viral Twitter web app. Okay, and I know it's called X now, but I can't help but calling it Twitter. And then we'll put in a new password for our database. Okay, and then create new project. So now we have a new project with a database. So we're going to have basically Claude integrate with our Supabase database and store all of our user information here. Okay, so Claude is finished and says our preview is ready. It's just basically a dummy because we still need to add all of our API keys from Supabase, Stripe, and OpenAI. So let's go ahead and open up that preview and see what it looks like. Okay. Not terrible. We got some fake statistics here it kind of generated, but I definitely will change this background because you can hardly read some of this text. But it went ahead and created an entire landing page with a basic plan, with a pro plan. It even has this like cool hover effect once you hover over. How it works, ready to go viral. So it created this entire landing page for our web application with us putting in very minimal input. So if I click start free trial, okay, it looks like nothing's happening. I doubt anything's going to happen from launch demo because Claude can't make us a full VSL yet. Yeah, so it looks like none of these buttons are working just yet. It could be because we don't have any of our integration set up, because Claude definitely built the dashboard and built the checkout page. It's just not connected. So I'm just going to go back to, I'm going to actually screenshot this first. Take a screenshot of this, and I'll paste this in here. The landing page looks great, but there's just a couple of issues. First of all, the background should be much darker. Let's do a black to dark gray gradient because the text is not legible on the current background. It blends in with the rest of the background. Also, none of the buttons are functional. When I click them, nothing happens. Now, I know we still need to set up some integrations, but for the demo of, for the purpose of demoing, make these buttons functional so I can actually go to the dashboard and I can see the checkout page and I can see every page that you created. So create me a full demo. Okay, it now says we have a fully functional demo. So let's go ahead and open that up again. Okay, already much better improvement. I can actually read the text now. And yeah, looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and see if these buttons are functional. Sign in. Okay, takes us to a sign in page. Get started. Takes us to a sign up page with the basic plan. And it even added some features here. 5 tweets a month, 5 templates, email support, back to home, start free trial, takes us to the sign up page. Let's try watch demo. Okay, now it looks like this actually takes us to the dashboard itself to generate the tweets. So pretty cool. Let's see. Okay, so these little granular, more specific buttons are not working just yet, but this is fine for demo purposes. Basic plan takes us to the basic plan, and then let's see if this takes us to the pro plan checkout. Yeah, so it takes us to the pro plan checkout. So this looks not bad, pretty good for just a few prompts. Yeah, and so once we actually remove this demo data and hook up ChatGPT so it can actually generate the tweets, Supabase so it can store user data, and then Stripe so we can take payments, this is going to be pretty much a working, the first version of a working web application that we can make money from. So now I'll just tell Claude, I'm ready to give you my Supabase API keys, my Stripe API key, and my OpenAI API key. And I'll show you how to do all of this. Okay, so it's going to create a new file to store those API keys. Okay, so it says, please provide these keys. Supabase will need 3 different keys. Stripe keys, we need 2 to 5 keys. I'm not going to create these plans. So basically we need a key for the basic plan and the pro plan. I'm going to let Claude do that. And then we just need 1 API key for OpenAI so we can have ChatGPT generate these viral tweets. So let's go get our API keys right now. Okay, so back in Supabase to go grab our API key, we're going to go to settings here on the bottom left, project settings, and then we're going to go to API keys. So I'm not going to click this because I don't want you to have my API key. And then we'll also need data API here to get our project URL. So I'm going to take this URL, and I'm just going to paste this all in. So I'm just going to say Supabase equals, I'll paste our project URL, and then I'll go grab a non-public key and our secret role key. Okay, I've pasted my Supabase API keys into Claude Code. Now we're going to grab our Stripe API keys on this brand new demo account. So to allow payments, let's go grab those API keys. I'm just going to go to the search bar up here, and I'm just going to type in API. And then you just click this link right here. I'm not going to click it because, again, it's going to expose my API keys. So go do that and grab your publishable API key and your secret API key. Okay, now we're going to grab our OpenAI API key to have ChatGPT write these viral tweets for us. So this is OpenAI Playground for those of you who are unfamiliar, and this is their developer platform. So you can do things like train custom agents. They have prompt generators, but we're just going to grab our API key. So go here and click API keys on the left, and then just simply create new secret key and name it after your project. Now I'll see you back in VS Code once we've pasted all of our API keys. Okay, so Claude Code has successfully integrated all of our applications with our API keys. And if I even go to Stripe here and I click on product catalog, I have 2 more products that I didn't create, Viral Tweet Writer Pro and Viral Tweet Writer Basic. So Claude Code actually created these products for us using our API keys. So pretty cool. But there's just a couple of things we need to do to set up the database now. First, we need to go to our Supabase dashboard. Okay, then we need to go to SQL editor on the top left here. And now I'm going to go back to Visual Studio Code, and Claude Code says execute the database schema. So copy the entire contents of Supabase setup.sql. And this is a file that Claude Code created. So I'm going to click on that to open that. And then I am just going to Command All and just copy all of this. And then I'll return back to Supabase, paste that in, and run it. Let's run this query. Database setup completed successfully. So now I'm going to go back to Claude Code and just say, I finished those Supabase instructions. The database should now be set up correctly. Please confirm. Okay, so now our database is successfully set up, and we can start storing user information as well as Stripe. So once somebody checks out on our app, we'll actually see that payment within our Stripe account. Now we need to set up our Google authentication so people can actually sign up and sign in using their Google email address. So if I go back to my project here in Supabase and I go to authentication, and I click sign in / providers, you'll see that there are so many different ways to sign in, but the most common being Google. So I'm going to click that, and this shouldn't be auto-filling here. LastPass is doing that for me. But I'll click enable sign in with Google. Now you'll see here it says at least one client ID is required when Google Sign is enabled. So we'll actually have to create a Google authentication account. Okay, so now here we are in the Google Auth playground at console.cloud.google.com. And this is basically where we're going to get access to give users the ability to sign into our application via Google. So I'm going to go ahead and create a project. I will just put viral tweet writer. I'll create that. And now we're actually going to have to set up Google authentication once this loads. So it says Google Auth platform not configured yet. So we'll just click get started. App name, viral tweet writer. Support email. We have to put in a support email to use Google authentication. Now, you don't have to do this. You can just do a standard email and password sign-in using Superbase's database. But I find this is much easier for users to sign up. And me personally, I love when applications offer a way to sign in with Google. So we'll click next. Audience external. Next, contact information. I'm just going to put in my same email address, zanethinks@gmail.com. Oops. Next. And then I agree, and then create. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to navigate to clients. Okay, so now in clients here, I'm going to click on create client. We'll do web application. I will do viral tweet writer. Now, for this authorized redirect URL, I'm going to go back to Supabase. I'm going to scroll down and find Google. I'll click on that. And this should not be auto-populating. I am going to copy this URL right here at the bottom. So I'll go ahead and copy that. And then go back to Google, add URL, paste that in. And now I can click create. Now, once I click create, it's going to automatically give me my client ID and my client secret. So I'm going to take those IDs and I'm going to then paste them into Supabase and then save that. Now, back in Claude Code, I just said I've completed those steps, so please ensure that everything is working. And Claude said, excellent, Google Auth is now fully working. So let's go ahead and open up the preview, and we should be able to use Google to log in. So here's our login page. I'll just click continue with Google. And it brings us to the Google sign-in. Pretty freaking cool. So let's go ahead and try to sign in. Put yes, continue. Okay, so now the issue is once I sign in with Google, it just takes me back to the sign-in page. So we need to tell Claude Code that we actually need to be taken and redirected to the dashboard once we actually sign in with Google. So I am just going to screenshot this. It's probably not necessary, but I just like to give Claude as much context. I will paste this back in here. And I will say, great, the Google sign-in is now working. And OAuth integration looks like it is successful. But the issue now is that once I sign in using Google OAuth, it just redirects me back to this login page. So we need to redirect the user once they sign in to the dashboard page. Now, this is where we should check their status to see if they're a basic user to take them to the basic plan dashboard, or a pro user to take them to the pro user dashboard. If they do not currently have a paid plan, let's take them to a small free trial where they get a small amount of tweets to try out. Okay, and I'll just put that in, and let's go ahead and I'm going to turn on plan mode actually, and then we'll run that. Okay, Claude said they fixed that, so let's go ahead back and open this up. Do continue with Google. Okay, now nothing is happening when I click continue with Google, and it's probably because I'm already signed in. So, gonna go back and fix this issue. Now, honestly, guys, like this is amazing that we have AI tools just to build applications for us. But the biggest thing is you will be doing like debugging and fixing small issues. That's where you're going to be spending a lot of your time, honestly. But as these AI tools just get better and smarter and better at executing these tasks on the first go around, then you're not going to have to do that as much. So I'll go ahead and paste this in. Now I'm running into another issue. When I open up the preview to the login page and I try to click sign in with Google, nothing is happening. I'm guessing it's because I'm already signed in and the application doesn't know what to do with me because I'm already signed in, so it's not taking me to the Google sign-in page. Make sure to fix this issue so I can successfully see the dashboard even if I'm already signed in. Also, give me an option to sign out if I need to. Okay, it should be fixed, so let's go ahead and open that up again. Already signed in. There we go. You're currently signed in as ZaneCole10. That is my correct email. We'll click go to dashboard, and here it is. So we are in our web application that we just built real time live. You can see here that says I'm on a free plan. I'm on a free trial. I have 5 tweets available. I have my profile up here in the top right that I pulled from Google. We have a full dashboard of exactly what we told Claude to build. I didn't do any coding myself. Let's just click around and see if this stuff works. I'm guessing that some of the features won't work because we haven't directly worked on them, like the Twitter analysis. But let's see if I just click on settings. Okay, so we see I have some settings. I can upgrade. It even has a call to action that Claude gave me. Upgrade to basic, upgrade to pro, upgrade to unlock some more features, back to dashboard, upgrade now. Okay, upgrade now doesn't seem to be doing anything. That should take us to a little like funnel to upgrade. And yeah, so let's go ahead and try to write something. Yeah, it doesn't seem like this is clickable. So it's basically the shell of what we needed. And we're going to have to build in functionality as we go. But guys, getting here from just a handful of prompts is insane. Okay, so let's put in my username, Zane Thinks. Topics and keywords, Claude Code, AI, no code tools, and we'll just put like cursor. Your niche, yeah, do tech entrepreneurship, and then AI and vibe coding. Okay, the moment of truth. Let's see if this works. Generating viral tweets. Now it should be calling to OpenAI right now and have ChatGPT generate these tweets. So pretty freaking cool. And it looked like I already used 3 of my 5 tweets, but we even have characters, so it does follow the Twitter character limit. Let's read some of these tweets. So just implemented Claude Code on a no code platform. Is this the future of AI and tech entrepreneurship? Really about no coding? Ever wondered how Claude Code is revolutionizing AI? Imagine coding your cursor to write its own scripts. Just built a prototype on Claude Code in 48 hours. AI is revolutionizing how we build. Okay, so these aren't the best tweets, obviously. But this is where basically it'll come, training the actual agent will come into play. So making sure the agent has more than enough data. It's trained on viral tweets. It's a matter of training OpenAI's LLM to optimize for virality and to adjust the tone. So we're not going to do that today. We're just going to build a simple app. But if we wanted to, we could have more functionality in this application to get a little bit more nuance with the output. So being able to edit tone, being able to edit kind of just style, and just being able to get a lot more detailed with the outputs that we're looking for, as well as maybe a little prompt box to say, I don't like this. Let's make it a little bit more direct, or let's make it a little bit more playful. But we have a tweet generator hosted on a web application that we used Claude to build. And it looks pretty good too. It doesn't look half bad. So I'm just going to try one more thing. And again, I'm just going to test a different niche just to make sure that these aren't just, templates. I'll put your niche dog training, high maintenance dog, dog behavioralist. I have no idea how to spell that. Behavioralist. Yeah, there we go. Okay, topics and keywords. We'll do huskies, labs, high maintenance dogs, dog training. Okay, now let's generate a couple tweets. I only have 2 tweets left on this free plan. Let that generate. Okay, now it's telling me monthly limit reached, which is super cool because, like, you know, it's going to give your users incentive to upgrade. But let's read these tweets. Ever spent 2 hours persuading a stubborn husky to sit, or is it just me? Share your most amusing high maintenance dog story. Ever feel like you're failing the dog training 101 exam with your high maintenance fur baby? Okay, so you get the point. So this actually generated 3 tweets for us when it said we only had 2 left. But we have a working application that is calling to OpenAI to generate these tweets for us. And this is super cool. So you can build a sellable web application with just a few hours of your day, a couple hours, I mean, if that, a couple hours, and these tools that allow you to do all of this for super low costs and with very little technical expertise. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with this as a prototype. Now, obviously, there's a few things that it needs and a few more features that we could implement, but for the sake of this video, not making this hours long, I'm going to go ahead and say this is good for now. Now, let's go ahead and get this hosted so we can actually give it a domain and people can access it and sign up. So we're going to go back to Claude Code. And I'm just going to say, everything looks great. Let's get this hosted on Vercel. Okay, so Claude said our project is basically ready to deploy to Vercel. And again, Vercel is the platform that will be actually hosting our application on and adding a domain so people can actually access it. But before we do that, I actually just had Claude back up to our GitHub repo. It's a good time to save. So let's just go ensure that Claude did that successfully. I'll go into viral Twitter app here. And we can see 2 commits 18 hours ago and 5 hours ago. Yeah, so I'm just going to go back and tell Claude. It looks like the online repo is still not updated. Okay, I had to tell Claude one more time and just give it my repo link to make sure that I was updated because it still wasn't updating. So it says it is now, so let's go ahead and refresh. Okay, and we can see it actually probably did it the first time because it says 7 minutes ago. It just took a little bit to load on GitHub's end. But we have our full application within GitHub. So we have all of our files, and then we have just a description of what this application is. So we are successfully backed up to GitHub. Our application is still private, and now we are ready to deploy to Vercel. So let's go back into Claude Code, and we actually have this deployment file here that Claude Code created for us. So I'll go ahead and open this, and it says Vercel deployment guide. So let's see, push to GitHub. We did that already. Deploy on Vercel. So option A, Vercel CLI, which again will be a command line tool that we can just open up right in our terminal. So I am going to just copy this command and we're just going to run it in the stock terminal. It's going to be a little bit easier that way. So run that here. It's going to install the packages, and then I will just type in Vercel. So I will do login with Google to Vercel. So if you haven't already, create a Vercel account, and I'm going to go ahead and log in with my account. Vercel CLI login success. Okay, going back to terminal. It says you are deploying your home directory. Do you want to continue? I'm just going to exit out of this for now. We'll terminate that. Go back to Claude Code and just put I've successfully logged into Vercel via terminal. Please confirm. Okay, now it says perfect. You're successfully logged into Vercel as Zane thinks. Now let's deploy your project. Claude Code has successfully created the project in our Vercel account. There's just one more thing we need to do. So we're going to go to settings and environment variables. And we actually need to add all of our API keys into Vercel. So that way, obviously, Vercel and our web application can connect with all these platforms. So we can either add them manually or we can import a .env file. So I'm going to do that right now and skip through so I don't expose my API keys. Okay, I've added all of the API keys to Vercel. And now Claude Code should be able to push it live. Okay, so Claude says, success, your viral tweet writer SaaS is now live with a Vercel link. With Google authentication, Stripe payment processing, free trial, AI tweet generation with OpenAI, and everything we asked it for. So let's go ahead and go into Vercel, and we can see that our project is right here inside of Vercel that Claude pushed. So let's go ahead and visit it and make sure everything works. Go ahead and open up the link here. Took us to the landing page. Everything looks good to me still. Let's go ahead and try signing in. Sign in with Google. Google authentication still working. We'll sign in with our account. Just make sure everything works. Okay, it took us back to the home page. Okay, guys, so there was a small issue when I was trying to sign in to our web application. It was redirecting me back to the local host version, meaning it was redirecting me once I signed in back to the local preview that we had hosted on our computer. So I basically just had to go to Supabase and just change the site URL because this was still a local host URL that Claude Code created. So once I did that, we should be good to go and we should be live now. So I'll go ahead and try to sign in again. Sign in with my email, checking authentication. Okay, now it's redirecting me back to the sign in page for some reason. So I will then go back and tell Claude that and see if we can get this fixed. Okay, so I just had to do a little bit of debugging because for some reason when I was trying to sign in, it was redirecting me back to the home page, but it should be fixed now. So let's sign in with Google, choose our email, and it should take us back to the dashboard. Yes, okay. So it took us back to the dashboard and we are live on Vercel. So the application is officially running. Now, let's say we wanted to go fully live and add our own custom domain to this. Well, we would go back to Vercel, and then we would go to settings, and then we would go to domains, and we can just easily add our own custom domain right here. So we built this entire web application in just a couple of hours without writing one single line of code. We have our rough draft of our web application with a full Supabase database to store user data. We have Google authentication, so user can sign in with Google. We have an OpenAI integration to actually write the viral tweets themselves. And we have a Stripe integration to allow the users to actually pay, and so we can actually start monetizing this thing and make money from it. So we have a full working web application. And guys, let me tell you again, I am not a developer. I don't know how to code. You just saw me build out this entire thing from scratch without knowing how to code myself. And so it's a really amazing time that we're living in. And I hope this full course was helpful for you. If you enjoyed this course, if you got value out of it, please give me a like and subscribe down below because there's going to be plenty more Claude Code content coming because I really believe this is the future. So guys, thank you so much for joining me in this video, and I will see you for the next one.